the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated. I wear several hats. I have my rector hat. You may think that's the same hat as my priest hat. It is not. The priest hat is the pastoral hat. The rector hat is the programs and buildings and vestry hat. I have the husband hat. I have the father hat. I have the foodie hat. I have the friend in town hat. There are different hats. All of these hats have a few things in common, is that in every role I play, I'm in different types of relationships with people. And I'll use the example of my father-son hat. And that actually goes both ways, with my own parents and with my kids. I have discovered that Jesus gives very good advice in today's gospel. Throughout my life, I've learned that a stern letter or an email bomb or something online tends not to help my relationships with people. Better advice is what Jesus gives, and this is for everybody in the room, in particular the parents and kids going back to school. And I don't mean the kids going back to school alone, I mean parents with their kids going back to school. There will be times when mistakes are made on both sides, and the advice that Jesus gives is really good. The starting point when there's a complication in any relationship is to go one-on-one and to speak to somebody one-on-one. And it's good advice for a number of reasons. First, it may be that there was no, to use a theological word, sin committed at all, and that whatever the offense was, the homework wasn't done, or the stove was left on, or whatever it may be, that it was a misunderstanding, or it was a mistake. It's rare, it does happen, but it's far rarer than most of us think that we fall into, that third category. The first is a misunderstanding. And how many times have you had a misunderstanding that you are grateful that you went one-on-one to clear it up? Or that you were on the other side and somebody came to you to clear it up one-on-one? How many times have you been in a situation where you were on one or the other side, where there was an offense committed, but it was unintentional? I didn't mean any harm by it. It was a mistake, and I'm sorry. It is rare that you fall into that third category, though it happens that it was intended. I did mean to do this. I meant to needle you that way. And then you have the opportunity to make amends, to say you're sorry, or to accept the apology. It's only after that, Jesus says, that we begin to bring in other people, the team of helpers or whatever it may be. But I commend to you today, as we start our program year, as we start our school year, and things begin to get moving, and most of us begin to wear more and more hats and have more relationships that we deal with. Try to start one-on-one when you come into problems. It's really good advice from Jesus. It builds on what St. Paul says in the epistle and what Jesus says again and again, to love your neighbor as yourself. Wouldn't you rather be the recipient of a one-on-one conversation that was meant to clear the air in a cool, calm way than to be the recipient of a stern letter or an online attack or what have you? Love your neighbor as yourself is our marching orders as Christians. And the advice that Jesus gives today is one specific way of how to live that out. When you have a complication with a relationship in your life, Start by going one-on-one to make sure that perhaps it was just a misunderstanding, or a mistake was made that was unintended, or it was intended but the opportunity is there to clear it up. The gospel ends with that nice line that we all probably know from a slightly different context, I think. Whatever you bind in heaven, on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. I think people think about that often as the church saying somebody is excommunicated forever, on earth and in heaven, or I'm not sure that's what that means. I think it means that the relationships that we have, whatever we bind on earth continues to be bound, and the bridges that we intentionally burn on earth are hard to repair. So as we move forward, nice short sermon, into coffee hour, which is our first opportunity to come into conflict with each other, and the school year begins to roll forward and things aren't getting done the way they might be, start pastorally, calmly, and one-on-one. It'll make all the difference in the world. And when you make mistakes in doing that, you can still go one-on-one to say, I'm sorry, I didn't do that right. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.